Yeah.
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm with the legendary, the mythical Nick Curto. Greetings, Nick. How are you?
Oh, you read it exactly like I wrote it. I am wonderful. Thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I'm looking forward to today's episode of the creative process.
Thank you so much. Okay, so here we are. My name is Nick Curto, and this is the creative process. This subject is one of my favorite subjects of all time. I am a working artist, a creative artist. I've worked for corporate America and advertising agencies and some of the biggest ones here in New York. And I always have loved art, all of art, and music too, and theater. The creative world is so enriching. And if you are in any section of that, of any part of that, no matter how big or small, it really will be a joy for your entire life. I can absolutely tell you that's true. I have with me tonight two wonderful people that I've recently met through their son Charles, who's a friend of mine through the Urantia group, and Suzette Delia Reiss and Gerard. Is it Lehner? Am I pronouncing
Lehner,
it right?
Lehner,
Oh, thank
Lehner.
you, sir. It's so good to have you here. I have been looking forward to this very, very much. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I want to start off with, I think, questions that people have, like, how did you guys meet originally?
You want to tell it or should I?
I asked a friend to help me find a wife, and I ended up marrying her neighbor's cousin.
Good for
He's
you.
teasing
Good man. Good for
you.
you.
But we met on 53rd Street near the MoMA along the the hand-chiseled Vermont limestone wall of St. Thomas's Church, off the corner of Fifth Avenue.
Ah,
This was an area where a lot of artists would show their artwork. And I guess the second time I went there, I met him. I had been passing by on my way to the where I worked at the American Management Association, and I saw all these artists that were set up over by, it was actually near the MoMA, but it was the church wall right before it, on 53rd. And I finally got the guts to go over there and take some of my artwork out. And he was away the first day I went, but I think within the second week you were back, and he helped me through the process and
Yeah, well,
encouraged me.
when I first saw her artwork, I said, "You're going to be famous." Her
wow.
her her artwork was so uniform and delightful.
How wonderful a story. That's such a great New York story. It really is.
Yeah,
How wonderful you met that way and through art too. That's great.
right.
And where are you both originally from? Where were you guys born?
Well, sometimes I say outer space.
Oh, really? Well, that's fantastic. I know a lot of people that would also agree that they've been there too. So
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Mineola. I'm a Long Island person, but I went to a community college for graphics printmaking in Rockland County,
excellent.
and then I moved to Nyack on the Hudson, and I discovered some street artists in Midtown Manhattan while I was working on West 48th Street for a metal arts craft supply called
Ah,
All Craft.
and that's how. Okay, and Suzette?
I'm from Miami, Florida originally, and so I grew up there until I was about 9, and then my mom wanted to go back to school, so we moved to Pennsylvania, lived there for a while, and then went back to Florida and went away to school in a couple of different states, North Carolina and California, before I came to New York.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Newport too. I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts,
Hmm.
the home of basketball. Yes, the
Oh,
home of
yeah.
And
And yeah,
the
so we're
Shriners.
all from kind of imports. We all are imports in a sense. Um, And your attraction to art, I have to ask, was there anybody in your family, either your mom and dad, your grandparents, aunts or uncles, was cousins, was anybody in both of your families interested in art when you were younger?
Yes. Well, my sisters were a real influence to me because both of them were very artistic. And my parents were not artists per se, although my father did dabble with drawing and sometimes
Oh,
they were strong, they loved the arts. So that was a big part of my upbringing, the appreciation of arts in
I
that
had an
household.
older brother who liked painting by numbers, and
okay. Hey,
and then he painted seascapes, but he moved away from that.
well, you both came then from fertile ground because some
Yeah.
artists don't have anyone in their families. I've spoken to
Yeah.
some creative people that nobody ever in their family was creative, and they were the very first. So it's nice to have a little bit of fertile ground to come from, and you both obviously were blessed with that. I'm glad to hear that. And what I want to ask you, what about art or about the creative process? The program is called the creative process. Tell me how that affects you. Like, how do you think about that? What does it do for you?
Hmm. Well, I wanted to add a little something to the other part of that last question. When I was a child, I liked to trespass across my neighbor's property to get to Horton's Point. Like
Okay.
it was a haunted uh, lighthouse. And on the way, I crashed through someone's privet hedge and I was nabbed by the owner. And it turned out she was a famous art dealer. And she asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A farmer." And she said, "Why don't you be an artist?"
Wow.
Yeah. So, I was in with the big league very early.
Interesting that she would make that comment. Really, that's kind of out of the clear blue, right?
Well,
And you
well,
really thought about it after
she
that.
had a beautiful house on the Long Island Sound. And I changed the story. She said, "You want to be a bank robber or a criminal?" And I said, "No, no, I want to be a farmer." And then I changed the story by saying, "Oh, isn't that beautiful, glistening sunlight on the Long Island Sound? Isn't that a beautiful view?" And that sort of altered her thinking, I think.
Hmm. That makes sense. And Suzette?
So the creative process, I don't know, I guess I just have to be in sort of it's very a relaxing kind of state. I just have to be in a certain mode. And but sometimes, sometimes the best stuff that comes, the best work I do is spontaneous and
Yep.
it takes less time than some of the more labored. I'm not sure if that answers your question really exactly.
No, it does. It does. Some people, a lot of different answers when I ask that question to creative people. Some people have dreams and they actually reproduce their dreams in a creative way, whether it's visual or audio, music, or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
one
really
of those,
cool. That's a
and I'm
great idea because
Right. Well, sometimes, like one, I'll have a conflict going on, and I'll resolve it with, you know, ideas on what to do.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense too. To me, that does make great sense too, that
and,
sometimes it's an issue and somehow even a color or a pattern can also make you think, you know what? What if I blah, blah, blah?
well, when we before and after we met, um, being on the sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan, I thought of myself as being like a daily gazette, and I would come out with new works, and they would be selling this a day after I made them.
Hmm.
So, and then I would write stories about my art and other ideas on the back of the artwork. And I
yeah,
also
people love that.
and I also got a list of many of the people that stopped and talked to me or purchased my artwork. And so that was kind of interesting. And meeting daughters of movie stars, you know.
Do you need to apply for any sort of a permit to display your art on a New York street?
Well, that's what's interesting is on that subject, the recent movement of the new mayor of New York. He declassified um, the um, the policing as not a criminal matter. Before that, you could be arrested and tried in a criminal court.
Well, usually
Really?
it wasn't a problem because if it was your own work that you made, they usually left you alone. There wasn't usually a problem. But occasionally, that could happen where they would, you know,
I
arrest
once
people.
I
Yeah.
once had a vendor's license, but I heard that you got more tickets with the license than without it.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
but this was, we moved on from the street after a little while. We did, other kinds of shows and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
So,
organized shows, yeah.
but it was how we met originally. And
Right.
over by the Museum of Modern Art, the church allowed us to be there, so it was okay. But they didn't really like people coming and selling other stuff that they didn't make. So
And then it got to a point it was
where they,
just
yeah, they
yeah,
couldn't do it anymore.
they it got too obnoxious. Some of the artists were totally obnoxious.
I was at the museum just the other day. I was walking past the museum.
Oh,
It's also, and back of the museum, it's a beautiful park, and I love to go there and relax.
it is.
I don't live too far from there. And when I was walking past the museum, it was table after table after table of
Oh,
artists.
yes. Well,
But
right.
here's
Well, they have tables now?
they,
Well, that,
yeah, they do. And it
that's
was one beside the other. There were maybe what, 30 or 40? I mean, it was the
right.
whole block.
Really?
It was the whole
Well,
block. But
well,
my partner commented on, and I agreed when I saw it, is that a lot of the artists looked like they weren't really artists. They were simply selling art, and it wasn't really their work.
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
yes.
There
Well,
were people like that back then too, but back then we had it just against the wall of the church on the ground, the artwork. And
before
people would go through it and sometimes you'd have a bin or something, but usually it wasn't like tables or anything. That might be the only way they allow it now.
before 1998,
We're talking
there were very few artists who did the artwork that would proselytize themselves by selling on the sidewalk.
right. Well, there's still a lot of artists that would feel that way, that wouldn't want to sell on the sidewalk. I get that.
Right. And
But
then
this was the mid 80s.
but
We're talking
then what happened is we organized to confront and negotiate with the city. But I was like a silent partner to this. And the other person had a little bravado voice. He could talk over a shouting crowd. And he got all the publicity. And why he didn't do something about decriminalizing it,
Wow.
until only recently.
Incredible. That really is. Wow. They're quite a story. Wow. Um, yeah. Okay. I got a lot of questions here because,
Yeah, let's go
oh,
through
thank
that.
you, Suzette, for giving me the website of the one of the places that you're exhibiting. And I want to, right now, before we go any further, I want to ask our viewers if you would get a pencil and a piece of paper because I'm going to give you a website. It's fairly long, but I'm going to do it slowly so you'll get it correct. And please, when you get a moment, go there because my guests tonight, both of them have their work on this website, and you've got to see it. So take a moment to go get a pencil and a piece of paper. And again, I will go very slowly on the address here so you'll get it. Okay, I'm going to start it now. We're going to start with www dot Northfork, I'm sorry, Northfork, and then a dash, Arts, ARTS, Center, CENTER, that's one word, dot ORG / ARTISTS dash ALLEY. So I'm going to go back again, and it's www.northfork-artcenter.org / artists with an S dash ALLEY. That will get you right to the work of our two guests, my two guests tonight, and it is certainly worth the look. It really will show you exactly what kind of style that they've been working with, and it's quite interesting. And I want to ask about that. Suzanne, I'm going to go to you first because I have to tell you that when I see your work, it always makes me feel happy. Truly. I bet you get that from other people.
Yes,
Is that
yes.
right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just does. It's just fun and happy things. And I love that. I love the fact that it's like that. Have you illustrated children's books by any chance?
Well, I haven't done actual books. I did something years ago with Random House, which is now, I guess, Random House Penguin or, um,
Okay.
and that was actually more like a video thing. And but not really children's books because I can write, but I haven't been able to bring those together as much as I might want to in the future. Maybe I still will do something like that.
I
But
could see you easily fitting into something like that. Your work is delightful, and like I said, it gives me pleasure to look at it, and that's a wonderful quality to have in an artwork. Now, Gerard, yours, some of it's fun, but some of it is more serious. I'm referring to. I think there was one of the more serious one, serious and not serious. It was a woman, and she's holding a champagne glass and she's in some water or something like that. I saw that on the
Oh,
website.
yes, right. Yeah.
late for work again?
No, no, it's a different one. That's I think Lady of the Sea.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Good name. I
Okay.
love the titles too. I always encourage people to put titles on their artwork
Yes.
because it gives it a whole other dimension when an artist will think about a title and do that.
Well, I went down to the Virgin Islands to do an art show, and I liked it so much, and the environment, met a lot of people, and I went back there many times, like 30 times over. I haven't been there since 2011. I would have liked to continue, but other things were going on. And so being in the Virgin Islands, you're closer to the equator, so colors are brighter. And so that was part of the dream of being there and promoting the idea of being there
Hmm.
when you're not there, you know. So that was exploring writing on how to entertain people with the idea of collecting my artwork and enjoying having 3 days in 3.5 days in the Virgin Islands. So
Not bad, my friend, not bad. The islands are calling. They're calling you now.
yes.
Boy, that's a I've been down that area and I can certainly understand how much you love it. Certainly can. Now, Suzanne, it said in your description in the website that you've also sold some of your designs to UNICEF, a Target, Hadassah, a Random House, and so forth. Tell us about that.
Well, for UNICEF, I did some cards, and it was just they chose one design, so that was like a birthday card. And Hadassah, did you say?
I saw
Yes,
that
Yeah,
in
yes.
the
that they had also some different cards, and then Target had a collection that I had a representative that had gotten in there, but they only bought they bought two collections. One was palm trees, pieces with that were very tropical, and
Right.
then one was more bold kind of things with transportation. It had like a ferry, a little ship, a car, and a train, and those sold really well. The palm trees were a little less popular, and the way I guess it worked back then was that everything had to sell, all of them, not just like part of the collection for them to reorder.
Yeah.
So I didn't continue with that, but it was very exciting when it happened.
Hmm.
And there are still, if people go online, there's some of those prints still. I see them sometimes on eBay or, some of the other websites that they sell those little prints. Yeah.
Delia,
People still have. Somebody actually just inquired the other day because they said they had all three, but they wanted that fourth one. So I haven't gotten back to them because I don't have that many of the prints and they were all framed.
her
Hmm.
artwork sold really
Yeah.
well.
So
And
okay, Gerard, you don't let him ask the questions. Don't,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, he feels, I used to sell my work in Japan before that. That's why he's,
Oh,
No,
yeah. I
no,
want to
what it
ask you
was
about
is
the
sometimes a
Japan.
commercial entity has an art department and they don't see eye to eye.
well, no, that wasn't it. The woman who was my agent wasn't one of their regular buyers, and she got in through a different way. And I guess she wasn't in with like the quote regular buyers, and maybe they wanted to do their own, who knows? But that was
Yeah.
that was a good collection of my work. It was fun when it was there.
They missed
And
an
what was the other
opportunity.
place you mentioned?
Well, I'm going to ask a little bit later about your adventures in a foreign country, Japan, because that's a whole other story I want to get into.
Very
But I want to
exciting,
go to
yeah.
Gerard now and ask the same kind of question.
Oh,
Um,
Which question?
the idea of well, I had some artwork in a Armenian gallery in the Lower East Side.
ah,
Um, for that, selling exhibiting on the street is a diversion from showing in galleries. So now I'd rather just sell in galleries. But back then I was so into doing my artwork and I guess the being in the public eye. Someone said I had of of the fear of leaving the marketplace.
oh,
A phobia,
You had a fear of that?
a fear of leaving the marketplace.
Hmm.
That was a very stunning observation someone made.
And what about Midday Gallery and
Well, then there
something like
was
that?
a gallery in Fort Lee called Wise, and it became Midday. And, but sometimes people have to move on. So you know, so so I moved to Woodstock.
oh,
Okay.
really? Okay. Were you there on the big weekend? Were you there then?
No, not for the first one, nor
Weren't we kids back then?
oh, in 1969, I was busy mowing lawns. I didn't have the time. I had a responsibility to customers,
Okay.
so I couldn't go.
Okay, well, another thing I wanted to say about what you were talking about is I love when someone comments on my artwork or in some cases my music. I,
Right.
I love to hear how they react to that, what buttons are being pressed
Oh
with
yes.
for your own
Well,
artwork.
well,
He's
I
trying.
lived on the Hudson River and I had a tiny restroom and I could leave after rush hour to get to New York. I didn't have to get up like everybody else got up. So, but I had a piece that called no, I called it 9:30 a.m. Splash. A guy, a young man in waist up, he's in a bathtub, me. You know? And some guy
Of you.
coming along, he said, "Could you change the tile to 6:30 a.m. splash?
Ah,
Because that's when I have to get up." So, I had a series of bathroom art. Another one was
Late for
ain't
work again.
ain't gonna take no bath.
And
whoa.
he has one of them in that show, Late for Work Again, it's
Right.
called.
And
Yeah.
late for work was going to be like um, I I offered an opportunity for another artist we knew to come down to the Virgin Islands and photograph uh, someone having to do with an arts center. And I had a list of people that I was going to have her photograph and put it in a book called Late for Work Again. But some of these people were very important people, and
Okay.
maybe they didn't want to be
In the book.
in the book, a security
So you didn't
reasons,
do it.
that could be scandalous. you know.
All right.
So, but
Interesting.
Let Nick ask the questions,
yes,
Gerard.
Interesting. Interesting. Uh, okay, Suzette, I want to go into something I read again on the website that I thought was so interesting, and that has to do with acting in community
Mm-hmm.
theater. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I love community theater. I've been in community theater. In fact, I was the founding president of a group that's still going on called the Fresh Fruit Festival in the West Village, and I think
Oh,
they're now their 28th year and of spotlighting developing new artists, actors, directors, producers.
what's the name of it?
It's called the Fresh Fruit
Oh,
Festival,
wow.
and
Okay.
yeah, and it's really spotlighting the talent in the gay community,
Oh,
and I really wanted to do it, and we've been fairly successful with that. And you have certainly, in fact, listen to this. One of the early people who was in one of our productions turns out to be somebody who made it big. Have you ever heard of Lady Gaga?
you're kidding.
She was
Wow.
on our stage way
Wow.
back when. Yes.
Wow, that's
I mean,
great.
think of that. Think of that when I
yeah,
think of it
Yeah, that's
now. And
incredible.
yeah, and she was kind of unusual, but
Yeah,
she wasn't like you didn't go, "Oh my God, who is that?" It wasn't like that, but she was, getting her start, and
right.
one of
That's
our festivals.
great. I'll have to look into that. That's
right.
great. Yeah.
So wonderful people, very talented people, and it was a joy to be there. I was there for many years, and I was on the board for another 10, so it was quite something. Um, and so, yeah, have you any musicals, or was it acting that you were in, or what kind of?
Well, I would love to do musicals, but I mostly do just straight plays because mostly because I'm just not real confident about singing solos and stuff. So I was just in a show recently called The Unseen Woman, and it was three plays written by Susan Glaspell in the late 1800s, early 1900s. She was kind of a known playwright or became known later.
Mhm.
And that was really exciting. So I was in one of the one acts in that production. It was three different one act plays. And that was just recently. So it was great.
Has this
And
been going on a long time in your life, and you've been also interested in the theater?
yeah, no, actually it was always like fine art or theater were the two things that I loved. And I ended up going to NYU for theater at the time. So I was at the drama department at NYU,
Oh, okay.
experimental theater wing. And
Excellent, excellent.
yeah, so School of the Arts and then but I still always loved to paint and draw. And so then afterwards, I kind of got more into that. So
What I like about that is that the creativity that you feel can be expressed in different fields.
yes,
And,
yes,
and,
and it's
and sometimes
amazing.
if
And
I
and
see
they're so different too because
they are, and yet it's the same kind of creative energy in various different areas, And if I meet a poet, sometimes I'll say, "Have you ever thought of drawing? Or if there's a person who's in painting, have you ever thought of writing a poem? Because
Hmm.
they say, I'm surprised when a lot of times it was, no, I never thought of doing another kind of creative energy. So try it because you'd be surprised where you can go with that.
Right. And like Gerard does the writing on the back of his work, which was interesting too. It was combining
Yes,
the two things. So it is good, and when you do fine art, it's very solo sometimes, so it's introvert. And then theater is like it's the whole working with people and ensemble, a different feeling. So
it really is, and it's a creative process again, but it can go into more than one direction. And sometimes when people are good at one thing, they never stop to think, maybe I should try blah blah blah, something a little different than what I am doing. And also, it can also spark more ideas for what you are doing.
right,
It can also go
definitely.
that way too.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
so anyhow, I was delighted to see that in your resume there. That was really something. Gerard, have you ever done anything besides your visual artwork in a creative direction?
Yeah,
The writing.
well, uh, I wrote uh, I wrote letters and had ideas in these letters. Um, for example, one was the mid-block crosswalk in Midtown Manhattan.
Oh,
I was observing while I was watching people go by and sitting next to the wall of the church and with my artwork, I noticed the activities of the intersection of 53rd and Fifth Avenue and observed that, well, if a lot of pedestrians would continue to walk after the walk sign turned red. And if they had a fence there, they wouldn't be able to cross the walk, and people could make left-hand turns onto Fifth Avenue. Prior to that, the pedestrians blocked their time that was given to them to make that turn. So by having a mid-block crosswalk, more people can make uh, uh, the turns.
sure.
Another time, we'll say I I met somebody on a bus, and we were going across the GW Bridge, and it took 45 minutes to get across something that usually takes 2 minutes.
Wow.
And so I assumed he was from a place called Spring Valley. And I assumed that he knew people I knew who lived there because I lived once in Rockland County, near, 8 miles from Nyack. So I went on with all kinds of ideas about who I was and suggested if he knew someone, they might want to, exhibit on the sidewalk. And
Yeah.
what was interesting about that, the next time I went to Nyack, all these friends came up to me and said, because they knew who the person was on the bus, and I didn't know who he was. And he did a, a film essay on me in Nyack.
Awesome.
Oh,
So that's a little going beyond creativeness,
No,
but
yeah, yeah. He's asking about whether you was anything else you wanted to
well,
do creatively
writing,
besides.
and proposing ideas.
yeah. Again, the creativity can go in many directions, including very practical things that nobody ever thought of. Like I was waiting for my elevator in my building, and this man came, and he had beautiful big luggage, and they had wheels on it, of course. And I said to him, I remember a time when there were no wheels on suitcases. And he went, "Why, yes, of course, I remember that." And I said,
Yes.
and someone thought, duh, wouldn't it be a good idea to put wheels on suitcases that are heavy?
Right.
And of course, everybody's got them now, but at the time, people were struggling with these
I know
very,
it's true.
Right.
It's surprising they didn't think of that sooner, actually.
Yeah. I had cloth bags of artwork, and I put wheels on them.
oh, did you? Really?
Yeah,
Good for you, man.
but they were flimsy, because if you don't have a guiding system, the suitcase will go off on its own.
You had
Oh yeah.
those.
Oh yeah, absolutely true. But the idea though is to try something, give it a whirl, see if it works. And lots of times art is like that. I'm sure you would agree. It's give it a try it and see if that color works, or if it doesn't, you got to do something else. And it's a trial and error sometimes when you're doing artwork of what's working. And another thing that's hard for me is when to stop,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
When
right.
when you
Yes,
say,
yes. The
okay, I've
time
done
goes
it.
very quickly when you start being creative. It goes very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you can be creative when you're cleaning up.
Cleaning
Oh,
the house,
yeah, that's true.
neatening up
That's right, exactly right.
can be
And
a creative process. Yeah.
Well, I meant like putting away the inks and paper and realizing that you still have some ink on the palette. And so by like rolling up the ink and then doing what we call
Oh, I see.
reverse drawing, you can do a lot of creative things in a short amount of time.
absolutely true. And I know that you're very, very much involved in etchings. Can you just speak about that a little bit? Because people might not know what an etching is. Could you just briefly just describe that?
Well, the idea is that you would create a design through a resist that which would protect the plate you put on the you,
First, you got to prepare the plate,
yes,
which is zinc. Usually, we would use zinc when we did etchings or Gerard, right? And then
right,
you use
yes.
like a tool to
Well,
you have to put it in an acid first,
first
or
you apply what's called a resist on the metal plate, and when it's dried or it's hardened, it's also called a ground. So you apply this resistant material on the plate, which protects the metal, but wherever you scratch in, the acid is going to bite into the line. And there's other ways you don't have to do etching using an acid which has dangerous fumes. You can do like gravure using like a carbon wheel and scratching the metal plate, and then you take a scraper. It's actually hard work to do. Scrape away the texture where it reveals uh, where there's no texture. Another way to look at this is that everything that's planographic can talk back. Like, say, a tree bark has an opposite side, in the sense that if you take, like, say, clay, you could push clay against it and you pull it away, and it's the opposite of what the bark is showing.
Hmm.
So, in a way, it talks back, like a paper clip. You can press a paper clip between two boards, say, with a piece of paper inside, and it'll take the print of the paperclip. So you create textures and or you use stencils. Uh, you create an image on something that if you have an etching press, you can you can pull the print the opposite, the, like I say, the talk back. Maybe that would be a good way to refer to it. I do talkbacks.
That's not a bad thing at all.
But you got to be careful who you talk back to.
But you
Oh
can
yes.
also do
Oh,
similar things with they call them color graphs, where it's actually a board you'll use and you scratch into the board that it could be a foil board or and then you put the ink on and the line will be,
Yeah.
will show. And then yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Working with metal, I at a time I began to work with the idea of making bracelets, and I would etch the plate and then print it, and then bend it into a bracelet. And I used bronze, and then I graduated to sterling silver, fine silver, and even gold. But now the price of gold is so expensive, you have to know the crown prince to afford to do it.
no,
And
absolutely.
and if he's listening, I would like him to contact me.
Wow, thank you for that. The thing I thought was really cool, very cool about etchings is that you can come up with a color system and print like that. But then you can say, what if it were fall and I'm doing trees? Let's try fall colors. Or then you can do greens and other shades of yellow and do summer. And it's all in the same etching. I think that's very, very cool to be able to switch the colors.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things I learned to do by accident of the wind on Madison Avenue was to let the artwork blow away underneath the buses, and it would be carried uptown, and I would go up and retrieve it, and it would be like printed with manhole covers and various things. So
You
Okay,
would
all
really
right.
find it uptown. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gerard, I also want to, with the time that's left, there's a few other areas here. One is going to Dubai and working outside where the public could see you. I just want to ask you just a little bit about that.
yes, well, I went to Dubai in 2008, um, partially from previous introductions, and I was going to see a big art show called Art Dubai, and I planned to paint on location. So I brought canvas stretchers and paints. I bought a lot of luggage. And when I got there, I wanted to find a TV table to work on. And I found out no one in Dubai has a TV table because they watch TV on a rug, like
Oh,
in a parking lot.
yeah, yep.
And so I found some cardboard rolls that were cores from bolts of material, and I constructed like an easel, but that was kind of flimsy. So I just painted on the dirt next to a palm tree
Wow.
near the footbridge to the old fish market.
Hmm.
And I was staying at a small hotel nearby where the best friend of Ian Fleming's wife stayed. So I stayed there. And what happened is, in a short amount of time, three squad cars of Dubai police came to protect me from a swarming crowd that formed because no one ever saw an artist doing artwork in public.
That is incredible.
And so the police, I was thankful that they came. And they asked me, "Are you going to come back?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I'm coming back to." But the show was so exciting, I I I forgot about it.
You didn't go back.
So I did one painting in Dubai, and the art show was fabulous. So, and then I went in 212 and 214 when I met somebody who would like a gold bracelet made. So
Be quiet.
it was a beautiful place. I saw Dubai before the subway was uh, finished.
Hmm.
It looked like the movie Worm with
Worm?
with all these holes in the ground, you know.
What movie worm?
Wow. I know that now I've seen photographs of the more recent structures, buildings in
Yeah,
Dubai, and it's just wild what's there now.
incredible.
It would be going to almost a different city if you were to go back there now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really? Wow,
Yeah.
already, yeah.
What you have to observe is that you don't buy a bronze ticket on the transit and sit in the gold section.
Why did you do
If
that?
you do that, you'll be arrested.
Really?
Did you do
Yeah.
that by mistake?
No,
Well,
I
good,
didn't do
good
that,
to know. Good to know. Wow,
but even,
brother.
you
Do you
know, you
still
have
have
to
the
be.
painting that you did in Dubai? Do you still have that painting?
I still have that painting, and it might be worth $1 million, you know,
Well, who knows?
if I make the
Sure.
right connections.
Well, yeah, yeah. In this
Oh my
art
God,
market,
Gerard.
that does play a big part of who's representing you and who's the art gallery and your publicity agent. And sometimes it has to do with trends. Trends can be a big factor in
Well,
art, as you well know, in design for sure. And
they also have charities there, so that could be a possibility. But also, you have to have a 51% partner, um, to do business. And I actually wrote a proposal to the government by advice from uh, an art council, and the government approved it. That I could be a street artist in Dubai,
wow, that might be
But then
quite
you
an
never went
adventure.
back.
It
and
might be
then
quite an adventure to do that sometime. It really might be,
Yeah,
and
maybe you can still do it.
see what goes on. You might get a
Might be
sheet that
different
says,
now.
I want all of it. I'll take everything you've got on display. I mean, who knows? It could be that for sure. Um, I want to ask you too, I went to art school in Boston, Massachusetts, the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. I still communicate with the alumni department of that college. It was a wonderful experience for me. It certainly launched me into amazing creative paths. And I want to ask you, both of you, what advice what would you say to people that are coming up in the world that are creative? And what advice would you give them? What encouragement would you give them to take a shot at what their creative talents are? Would you have any comments on that?
Hmm.
Um, I guess you just have to go with your heart in life, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
it's tough out there with the what everything costs and making a living and stuff like that. But it's a hard question.
Well,
Uh, uh,
yes,
yeah, you go ahead.
I think though that you have what you have said is truly the heart of it, which is you've got to go with your gut, you've got to go with your heart, and if it's taking you in a direction, trust that. Go
Yes,
ahead, trust
yes.
that. So that's what you're basically saying, and I totally agree with that.
you have to find a medium that is affordable to your means. Now, if you can afford gold, work with gold, you know, or work with all the materials you like. But if you're strapped for money, um, I'd say go to college to be and study art, maybe be an art teacher, you know,
Hmm.
and that way you'll have everything at your hands, and you'll meet people and you'll have community.
My favorite art store in Manhattan is Michael's art store, right off of 6th Avenue, and I think it's like
Oh, they
21.
have a Michael's there in
Oh,
Oh
Manhattan?
my God, it's my favorite art store. Don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Well, we
oh,
have a
Go
Michael's here. I'm not sure if it's the same one. Is it the chain you mean?
yes, probably.
Michael's, I think so. It's again, it's on 6th Avenue, and if you
Oh,
go to about 21st Street, it's on the
wow.
west side of the street, and you take an escalator to the basement, and it's endless. It goes on forever. If they don't have it, you don't need it. I mean, it's got everything in the world there. And
That's near Dick Blick at
Is that near Dick Blick?
I'm
No,
sorry, what was
Dick Blick.
Dick Blick is a chain of
yeah, they
art.
used to have one on the Upper West Side, but I don't think that's there anymore. But it's a dynamite. It's my favorite art store, and
Well, we'll check it
But
out.
it has like framing too and other items too, right?
yeah, that probably is true. Oh, I'm seeing that we got my producer is telling us that we're wrapping up.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
wow.
Uh,
Again, tell us about the art center where you're exhibiting your work. Where is it? And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that will be going on until June 8th. So it's only until that point. And it is an art center that was started a couple of years ago by some residents and a local writer and filmmaker and some other people. And it was originally an old movie theater in this town. And it's still, now they are still bringing it back, but it was closed for a long time. So they've brought it back so that it's also an arts center. So you have all kinds of things that are going on there. The Brooklyn Ballet and they have performances and then they also have art exhibits.
you can
That's
So it's
get
really
wonderful.
exciting, the place, because
you
it's
can get there by the Long Island Railroad to Greenport. There's also a skating rink, roller skating
no, but he's
rink,
asking about the art center. No,
and
no, I just
next to the art center,
we don't have too much time,
and
so
a
I wanted to
merry-go-round,
tell him about the art
and
center.
lots of nice places to have lunch.
I would be there a lot. That
So
just sounds
yeah,
like,
so this is, a great thing that they've done because for a long time this movie theater was closed.
oh,
But and everybody was, was no place to go to the movies. It's really far away. So they opened that, but they also have all these other great events and they have people, different directors or performers or producers or just people talking. They talk after the film, so they have special openings. So it's nice.
they
Yeah.
got it right. They absolutely got it
Yes,
right.
yes. And all of
I'm
us donated to help it form. So they bought the art center bought the building from
oh.
Josh Sapin, who's kind of a
Yeah, and I right now I live in Yorkville, which is on the Upper East 80s in Manhattan, and
yeah, I know.
there is a theater that's been closed for I think 4 or 5 years. That's on
Uh,
86th Street, the main street, and every time I
Oh,
go past the marquee, it
uh,
was a movie theater with like four or
mhm.
five theaters in it, and
yeah.
I want to start a campaign to make it an art center. I think it's a
Oh, well,
natural.
I could put you in touch with the guy who started this. He could probably talk to you a little bit about it, how he
Oh,
went about doing it, if
oh,
you
please.
want.
I think it would be a huge hit here,
Oh,
Yes.
especially in the Upper
He's
East
on the
Side.
website. You'll see his name, Tony Sparakas is he started it with his partner and then other people got involved, but he's like he could if you wanted to talk to him, I could, reach out.
I would absolutely love
oh,
that. And thank you. Please be in touch because
Yes,
I
because I
would
think
love
it's a
that.
very exciting idea if you could do that, you know?
I live 1 block from it.
oh,
Wow.
1 block from it, and it's a very busy cross
mm,
street. It's the main 86th Street and Third Avenue, and
Right.
the
And
theater
it's
yeah.
is
been
right there.
closed.
And
Oh.
it's every time I go by there, I'm thinking we've got to do this. We have to do this. So
Yes.
I'm really energized to get very involved with that. Okay, we're going out of time. I cannot thank you both enough.
This
I
was
was looking
great.
so forward to this. You're a joy. Keep on with your wonderful creative talents, and we're going to have you back at some point in the future when you're doing another show or whatever. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
This
What a
was
joy.
great.
So this is Nick Curto for the Creative Process. Explore, everybody, your own creativity. Try things. Go ahead. Give it a shot. You'd be surprised sometimes what you can come up with. And I think you'll find a great deal of enjoyment in pursuing your creativity. So go ahead. This is Nick Curto for The Creative Process. Much love to everyone everywhere. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, everybody.
Bye.